Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Thursday version of the DSD show. Hopefully you're doing okay. Trying to get everything set up. I think I forgot to turn my other light on. Oh, well. So welcome to the Break the Cycle with DSD show. I am your host, Duane. I'm not a therapist. I'm an individual much like you guys. It has gone through a tough experience. And I've developed some tips and techniques that I used over the course of my 8 to 9 year experience that I share with you to help you break the cycle of abuse, get your life back. Hopefully, if you have kids, to strengthen the relationship with your kids and just get everything going again. Whoops, hit the wrong button there. Remember, only a licensed professional can diagnose somebody with a personality disorder. So be really cautious going around throwing around medical terms. Can get you into trouble, hurt your own credibility, so you want to be really careful of that. If you want to get the text notification, actually that's the next slide, sorry, I'm a little out of it today. If you like what's going on here and you want to support the channel, you can do that by subscribing and becoming a channel member. Those are two separate things in case you didn't know. When you become a channel member, you get special badges, custom emojis, your name listed in the credit, and access to member-only events, which there is one this Saturday. And yeah, it helps support the channel and keep the lights on. If you want to get the text notification of the show whenever it goes live, just text DSDLIVE to 844-598-0012, 844-598-0012. And speaking of phone numbers, if you want to call and participate in today's show, you can do that by dialing 1-424-373-5483 or 1-424-DSD-LIVE. You can also use a web interface if you are outside of the United States and don't want to do international dialing. And on that, hopefully you guys are doing okay. While the music plays out, I am going to turn this light on, so stand by one. There we go. That's better. That would have annoyed me through the entire show if I didn't do that. Normally I go through all the lights and I turn them on and I end up with that one, but I just forgot to do that today. So for you guys listening on the podcast, you're like, what the heck? I don't see what you're talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Anyways, hopefully you guys are doing okay. Hopefully you liked yesterday's show. That was a lot of fun to have Alex on yesterday. And to be able to go a little long. Normally I'm unable to do that because of my day job, but it was really nice to have him on. We'll have to do that again. I appreciate you guys who called in with questions and were able to keep it focused on the issue and keep things moving. I thought that went really well. Anyways, so I did have a topic that I did want to hit today as we start into this Thursday show. I wonder if I said Tuesday this morning whenever I started. Maybe I need more coffee. Anyways, that's whenever you're attached to your ex and you can't seem to get them to break free from them. And for those times whenever you feel like you would take them back in a heartbeat if that happened. I was reading some comments and some different things earlier today and late last night, where that was the trend. I think the one that really caught my eye was this meme with this person with a bunch of knives in the back, and the person who reposted it had commented that, I would go back, it's like, I know what would happen, but I would do it in a heartbeat, if they would take him back. I think the key on this, well, let me just pause for a moment before I move into the main thing. I just want to say that I fell into that same category at the beginning of this. There was a period of time in the beginning where the ex could have sucked me back in so incredibly easy. Thank God she didn't. Thank God she didn't realize. Well, probably she didn't realize that things weren't necessarily going to work out in court the way she had hoped. And as a result of that, she just kept doubling and tripling down on everything. So the reality is by the time we got to that point, not to that point, what I mean is that she had gone so far over the deep end of just being as vicious as she possibly could be, in my mind, that coming back from that was just impossible. I mean, I guess the reality is that even with that, because part of my thing is like, oh my God, if a person could do these things, say these things, make up these stories, embellish these stories, just to try to win, you can't trust that person anymore. And I had a hard time reconciling with that. And fortunately, every time there would be kind of like I guess you could call it a Hoover. But in my particular situation, as soon as things would stabilize to the point to where she would feel that things were normal-ish, she would take her bony little finger and just boop right in my eye. And I'd be like, oh my God, I'd be like, oh, holy cow, that hurt. And it was one of those things where it just was like that reminder. But I understand that mode of being where you want it not to be true. You want it to be different. That's one part of it. But I think there's another part that really is what is driving a lot of that, is not healing from the original wounds and fundamentally feeling that you don't deserve any better anyways. Now that's a subconscious thing, right? I mean, I don't think anybody, for the most part, is sitting there and actively saying, well, I don't deserve any better. This person is the perfect person who knows exactly how to abuse me and hurt me in the worst possible way. And that's what I deserve. So I want to go back. I want that, I want to go back to sleep and wake up in that nightmare. I think that's the problem, because we don't realize that we deserve better. I mean, it should be easy. It should be easy. It should be, you see the reality of what's going on. You realize, holy crap, this person is toxic for me. And staying in this environment is not healthy. But the crazy part is I see time and time again from people. Actually, I was having a coaching call earlier this week where that was an issue, where the person was dealing with abuse, was actually in a shelter, and was still questioning if they were making the right call. The reality is that if you're around somebody who doesn't brings out the worst in you, it's making you feel constant stress and anxiety, then you got to get out of that. And if you're having a problem with that, you have to work on yourself to figure out why. I mean, the question you have to ask yourself is, why are you having a hard time seeing it? And a lot of times, I mean, we talk about the early childhood wounds and healing the inner child. And I think everybody understands that you go back and you end up replicating what you're trying to heal, the original issue. If you have a problem or something you weren't able to resolve, it's like your brain finds a way to make it come back so that you could prove to yourself that, yes, you can make a toxic person change or love you. And it's a vicious cycle to get into. So the reality is you have to recognize that you're stuck in that loop. The second part of it is just recognizing that it's a problem. And the third step of it is to find a professional that can help you work through that, who understands trauma, that can break that you heal it not by convincing somebody else. It's like, okay, I'll be I'll be even better. I'll do everything the person wants. I'll try to become super attentive to read them, to get this person to wake up one day and say, you know, you're not so bad. I got it pretty good. You know, let's just calm things down. And just to roll into the last part about this, I mean, it's the similar issue we ultimately get into whenever we're dealing with a toxic ex, that at any moment they could wake up one day and decide, oh man, this is a nightmare. This is just making extra problems for everybody. It's making it harder for them. It's making it harder for you, not that they care about you, and it's absolutely making it harder on the children. So the easy decision would be just like, hey, I'll just calm down a little bit and we can communicate and work together. The crazy part is, if you think about it, if you could have an ally in the raising of your kids, you would be so much better off. But instead of going down that road and having to maintain their victim status, they will burn everything to the ground to accomplish that and make everything harder. And it makes it doubly hard because now, you know, you're basically a solo parent, but you don't have solo time, and you have somebody who's constantly throwing hand grenades into your camp that you have to figure out how to dodge and how to work around to try to have some sanity in your life. And that is my rant for today. Hopefully that was helpful to somebody out there. I know a lot of the regulars a little bit farther on than that, but I know every day there's somebody new who pops in, and that message might be something that would resonate with them. Anyways, let me see what's going on in the comments and everything. Let me turn off my notifications because that gets distracting because I don't need them. Let's see. Oh, I want to grab this one. Let me see if I can find this one. DC says, I have a reoccurring dream of my soon-to-be ex realizing she's a covert narc and getting help from a therapist. I think it's my unconscious trying to resolve the breakup of the marriage. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, absolutely, man. I mean, let me move that up a little bit. It would, again, it kind of goes back to what I was just saying. I mean, if we could get our exes to get help, it would probably repair the failed relationship. And if that wasn't it, if it could just make it to where you guys could have a stable co-parenting relationship going forward, I mean, it would be great. I mean, it would be phenomenal if I could call my ex and say, you know, hey, this is what's going on. You know, what do you think? Let's team up on this and figure out the best course of action to help our child. It just won't happen. I mean, the times I tried that, all that happened is that she basically got my playbook, knew exactly what to do to maximize the wedge between the kids and I, and did that. So, I mean, and I fell for that trap. It's a trap multiple times. Oh my gosh. I actually started feeling like an idiot because I'm like, man, why do I keep doing this? But yeah, DC, I think that's a pretty common thing. I'm going to try to, hold on. I got to make this a little bit bigger so my eyes can actually read it easier. There we go. Let me see. GA had one. I still wish that they would add a search thing in here, but GA says, I think they wouldn't be human if our minds didn't think of better times. Yet we do deserve happiness. Reality is that it wasn't real. I think closure is the issue. Yeah, you're right, man. And and actually you keyed into exactly what I was dealing with as well, where I would get caught up in this mode where my brain would go back and start remembering past times. And I'm like, well, okay, it can't be as bad as I'm saying because there were some good times. I can remember feeling happy throughout the last 2 decades every once in a while. And it was hard. And then having that realization of that it was a fake and manipulation, that was really difficult as well. And ultimately, what you're talking about in closure, the sad reality is that the way we get closure is we have to do it ourselves. You know, we expect or we hope that the person is going to say, I don't know, something, you know, like, oh, you're not so bad, but you weren't right for me. Okay. You know, something, as opposed to, I'm not talking to you. I'm going to ghost you. I'm not going to give you anything, or throw out some, I throw out some just stupid response. I remember at one point, the divorce was final. I still would talk to the ex every once in a while. And I remember I asked, you know, how the hell did this happen? 2 decades and we got to this point? I mean, this doesn't make any sense. And the answer, if I remember, and I can't remember it verbatim, but the intent, well, maybe intent's not the right word, but basically, I think the response was, we both got bad advice. And I was like, what? You know, I mean, even that didn't make, just to be crystal clear on this, if you have a toxic ex, nobody is convincing them to do what they're doing. They want to do it. They're finding people that enable them to do that. They're not this pure driven snow person who's just, you know, mentally inept, and their best friend told them that they should just cut your throat. Hopefully that doesn't demonetize the video, and do what they're doing. That's not, guys, that's just to throw this out here. I need everyone to be crystal clear on this. They are doing exactly what they want to do in the manner that they want to do it. If they're taking any advice from somebody, it's that somebody is saying, hey, you should try it this way. Oh, that makes sense. But they inevitably will come back and say, oh, it wasn't me. It was Barbara. Barbara told me that I should do that. And, you know, if it wasn't for them, it defies logic. Yeah, I was like, seriously, we got bad advice. I mean, come on. You know, 20-year marriage, if you really cared about somebody, you would finally say, look, this is stupid. We have to stop this. So I think I even said something like that at one point. But they have to be the victim. They have to be the poor person. And I'm just to be clear, it could be, you know, man or woman, doesn't matter. If they fall into this category, they are going to play the victim card. You know, it's just the trend that they follow. Hold on, I'm just looking at the other half here because I have, anyways, I have 2 windows open that I'm trying to track comments on. Actually, technically, I have 3. Oh my God. I don't. All right. I'm gonna see if I can find this. This is funny. I can't read the whole thing, but I think it's kind of hilarious. Come on. Where's it at? Maybe it's lower. Maybe I went the wrong way. Let's see here. No, not there. It's not. I haven't found it yet. I am scrolling back. Oh my gosh. Oh, there it is. Okay. Techmore says, the ex. If they showed up dressed provocatively, or technically not dressed, to the door, I would close the door and go back to bed or back to whatever I was doing. Do not care. Man, that is exactly where we need to get. Isn't that funny? Okay, I'm going to get that off the screen. That was funny. Thanks for making me laugh, Techmore. I appreciate it there, buddy. All right. Well, Tech had also said, I know Duane has to take this approach for those that pine for their exes. Others like us do not care. Just have to deal with them or parallel parent with them until our kids get out. No, I hear you, man. I hear you, Tech. But the problem is a lot of times it takes a significant amount of time to get to the point where, well, technically where we are, where you are, I am, or probably a lot of people who are regulars on the show. Oh, I like this. The Weiss chat manager says the therapist cannot fix a broken soul. That is true. And the sad reality is these people typically will not seek therapy because they don't think anything's wrong with them. It's either they don't think that anything's wrong with them, and they don't want to confront the root cause of the problem. It's too painful for them. So, I mean, it's kind of a vicious cycle, or what I used to like to call a self-licking ice cream cone, which I have no idea where I got that from. I don't know if that was a work comment, or maybe it was something from pop culture back whenever I was younger. But I've always been with the stupid analogies, so, you know, who knows? Maybe I made it up. John says, my ex and I were going to a therapist prior to her blowing up the family, and I told her dad we were doing that. He said to me, "Good luck with that." Yeah, see, that's the sad part, is typically there are people who see what's going on, they understand it. And I mean, my dad said a bunch of different things throughout the time I was married. And I was asking him, maybe a few months, maybe last year. And I'm like, "Man, you called it. You knew." He goes, "Oh yeah, first time I met her, I knew I could see exactly the type of person you were with. And it was a ticking time bomb." You know, he was like, "I was just hoping you would get out of it before you had kids." And I had, you know, obviously that didn't happen. And the sad truth is that we waited to have children until 6 years into the marriage. And when we were talking about having kids, I guess I didn't remember this at the time, but I had conversations with my dad, just being like, "Man, I don't want to have kids. I'm worried about it." And then as soon as we got pregnant, I was like excited about it. You know, so his comment was, "Well, there's 18 years of ransom." And it was like, I was kind of like hurt. I'm like, "Well, how could you say such a thing? My gosh, Dad, why can't you realize that we've been married for 7 years, 6 years, whatever the time frame was, you know, that it's real." That's because he's like, "No, I see through it." He was right. He was right. It was not a good move, on my part. And, you know, I guess the one nice thing about it is it basically spurred the creation ultimately of this channel that has helped people. So I guess in some ways, me having to go through this has had an ultimate benefit. I would have much preferred to not have had that experience, and this channel to be about fishing or something completely different, tech, something else, and not even have an inkling of this. However, I do have to say this. The one thing I do appreciate is having the fog lifted, being able to see people for who they really are, to be able to be more discerning on who I allow into my environment, into my world. And I mean, that's a positive. I just wish I could have learned that lesson without so much pain. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? All right. Let me see what else moderator Debbie has tagged for me. Let's see here. Let me look for Node made a comment. I want to see if I can find this. Yes, it's right here. Says, closure for me has just been moving forward without interference. Her getting her RO on me was the best gift. It was, if we settled, it turned into a no contact per my request. It's better this way. Oh, if we settle, I'll turn into, yeah. You know, I mean, you got to look for, see, here's the other really weird part about life, I guess, that I've noticed throughout my 5 decades on this planet, is that a lot of times things will happen and it will send you down a path and it will feel like the worst experience that you could ever possibly have. And for the most part, well, at the time it does feel like that. But for the most part, once you get to the side of it, it's like, oh my God, it was like that was your nudge to like, take the exit, go take this one. This is where you need to get off. And it's been one of those things where I can look back. Well, I can look back and I can see that. And the other benefit, at least for me, and hopefully this will be for you guys as well, is as time goes on and things happen and it seems bad at the moment, you can kind of take a pause and say, okay, well, this sucks, but where is this going to send me? Where am I going to go from here? All right, let's see. Oh, I'm going to see if I can find this. John said, my ex always blamed her sister, attorney, and people at work. Had she not ever mentioned me, there would be no discussion with her sister and people at work. Yeah, that's true. That's just, I mean, they always blame someone else, right? And they think that we're going to be able to fall for that they're going to be able to give themselves a pass, and we'll be like, oh, pumpkin, oh, I didn't realize that you were manipulated by other people. How could those people victimize you and ruin everything? Yeah. The thing is, I wonder if I would have done that. What the heck would have happened? I mean, the problem is in my situation, she was trying to get things back to the way it was. I mean, so I would have had to have like been Cypher in the movie Matrix and get plugged back in and have my memory wiped to be able to go back into that. And I did not want any part of that. Okay, I have a caller. I'm going to go ahead and go to that. It's area code 425. Hello, welcome to the show.
Hello?
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, this is, I am calling you about my 12-year-old. Her father has taken her during the coronavirus.
Yeah, the last time we talked, you were filling out the paperwork. How did that go?
Yes, they are filed. He is served, and our court is for November 30th.
Good for you.
He has let me see her now that he's served.
Big surprise there.
To see her.
That's funny.
Yeah, we went out to dinner, and from the moment I picked her up at the front door, it's as no time had passed, and we're in the car talking, having dinner. We were out for 2 hours. We just had like nothing, no talk about what has been going on. We were just. So
your daughter was happy then?
No time had passed. Yes.
That is outstanding.
He warned me. He warned me though. She does not want to go with you, but
oh, of course.
Pick her up at this time.
Of course.
Yes.
But whenever she was, but good for you. I'm glad to hear that. So, I mean, hopefully once I don't see any reason why when you go back to court that it's not going to go back to the standard or what you guys already had on order.
Well, so we drive into his driveway. I'm dropping her off, and now she's, Mom, I want to tell you something. And she's trying to hold in her tears, and she said, I want to tell Dad is not brainwashing me. I want to stay here at Dad's. You scare me. You have seizures. You are falling on the ground and you are shaking, and it scares me. I don't want to live with you. And these are false accusations. He's trying to tell the court that I suffer from seizures. I'm an unfit mother. I do not. I'm a school custodian for 5 years. They would not have me working around children. Yep. I even have the school principal wrote me out a letter saying we have no limitations on her work ability around our children. And so it terrifies me. How do I talk to my child who is lying? I don't want to tell her, no, sweetie, that's not true. I just listen. Okay,
Well, yeah. At this stage, what you just said is that's the way to do it. I mean, right now you got to get to court and get visitation forced to get things back to normal. And then as you start having more time with your daughter, you can basically say, look, Everything's fine. We checked everything, you know. I mean, you can do it. I mean, the reality is that since you were able to go back, or not go back, but you were able to have that time with her and she felt completely fine. I mean, the reality is if what she's saying, if what your daughter's saying is true, then she should have been terrified you driving her to a restaurant. Oh my God, you could have had a seizure and you know, why?
Right.
Yeah, it's, you know, and then for it to come, and what I was going to say is, as you were telling that story, I'm like, it fully would fall in line that as soon as you fall back, or not fall back, but you pull up into the other person's driveway, or, you know, getting ready to drop them off, your daughter has to get reacclimated to the environment she's getting ready to walk back into. So unfortunately it's common. I mean, what you just said is common. I mean, it's not, and I mean, I don't necessarily believe that's true. You just have to, I mean, you did what you needed to do. You filed. He's starting to let you see her because he realizes that he's got to save face, and then, you know, deal with it when you get to court. Do you have an attorney, or are you representing yourself?
I'm representing myself, and
okay.
I believe he is as well. I have not heard his response yet. He set up a good picture, though. He texted me, "Why is it every time she comes back with you, she is crying?" And it's just,
well, yeah, and
a wonderful time.
Yeah, the reality is that's what he's programmed her to, what the expectation is, right? I mean, and people fall into that trap. You know, I mean, that's why a lot of times when people will say, I mean, even on the flip side, right? I mean, I hear that a lot from guys who their exes or their ex-wives are saying that. You know, it's like, oh, the kids are, you know, they don't want to go with you. They're crying. You know, it's obvious it's you. And it's like, no. It's like you've set up a scenario to where the kids feel like that's the appropriate response, and they're giving you what you want. So, I mean, don't really worry about that too much, because unfortunately that is pretty standard. I mean, what you're talking about is very stereotypical behavior of exes and of children. Now, if you would have told me that the entire time your daughter was freaking out and crying with you and your 2 hours was a nightmare, you know, then you're in more of a danger zone. But that's what I always tell people. When you have your child and it's just you and them by yourself, and, you know, they're not within earshot, or the ex can't see, and they calm down, that's really what's going on. And just focus on that.
Thank you so much.
Well, I'm glad to hear you.
I also scheduled an appointment for seizures. A doctor, I figured, why don't I go ahead and get some proof of this? It feels silly.
No, that's a good idea.
Scheduling an appointment. What do you suffer from? Well, nothing. What are your symptoms? So how do I talk to this doctor? I have no symptoms.
Well, you just say, look here, I hate to say this, but I'm in a nasty custody battle, and for some reason my ex is saying that I'm unfit because I have seizures. So I needed an evaluation to tell me if, have a medical doctor say, do I have seizures? And for them to say no, no, it's actually, it's a smart move, because if he comes in and tries to say that, you have that paper to say, look, here I have this letter signed by a neurologist or whoever does those type of evaluations, and just say, no, I don't, and just say, then you could turn around and say, and look, this is what I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with an ex that is planting this crap into our 12-year-old's head to try to drive a wedge. Whoops, sorry. But you said the 30th, right? So that's 2 more weeks then, right?
2.5 weeks.
Yeah, good for you. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that you called to share your where you're at now, and that you actually filed the paperwork. So good for you. Hopefully you feel good. I mean, I know you were incredibly stressed. I hope you're feeling a lot more positive about everything.
I am, and thank you. And I will keep you posted.
Awesome. All right. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
I mean, for people who are longtime viewers of this new format, you've heard this person call in a few times. Toxic people prey on our fears, and unfortunately, most of them get so close to us that they know what our pressure points are. It's like, you can have, well, I guess for the, I'm trying to think, if you look at like the old, what is it? Like the Star Trek movies, weren't there a couple of movies or maybe shows whenever it was Star Trek Next Generation to where some villain would have a way that their missiles would shoot right through the shields? It's like, Captain, the shields are ineffective against their weapons. And they would just blast right through. That is what a narcissistic, toxic ex has the ability to do. They can pinpoint our weak points. And even if we have, we walk in and we're like, all right, I'm firm. I got my boundaries. I'm protected. You can't get through. It's like they have a way to just go boop right through it all and really knock you down to your core. This is why, even for me, there was a period of time where I would basically kind of do the no contact. I wouldn't have to deal with her. I wouldn't have to see her. I'd feel pretty good. I'm like, man, I'm doing really well. I don't, she doesn't have any effect on me anymore. And then we would end up in the same location for whatever, school event, an appointment or whatever. And I would be a disheveled mess for like a week because it was like it shattered everything. It was really, it's tough. But it's important for me to say that, to know that, because I've seen that with coaching clients as well, as where they feel that they're like, yeah, I'm good to go. I got everything great. Everything's fine. And they go into some type of event, mediation or whatever, or typically it's whenever they run into the person and they're not expecting it, that it just like, it pushes all their buttons. So, all right, let me see what else is going on. Just to reiterate, the phone lines are open. We got a little bit more time. We could take some other callers. So the number is 424-373-5483. Scroll down. They're also in the descriptions. Let me see what else Moderator Debbie has tagged. So, see, let me grab this one because this is, where is it at? I'm scrolling down. Let's see. iTumbler says the caller sounds so much better. Keep fighting. Yeah, she really did, didn't she? Like I said, I'm glad to hear that. Let's see, where is this? I wanted to see this. Oh, I scrolled too far, so it's the other direction. Now I have to go backwards. I really do wish that this thing would have a search function so I could just search on a name, but it doesn't. Well, forget it. I'll just say this. Mia had, let me get this off the screen. So Maya says, I struggle with the shame and confusion because part of me hates him. I can relate to that. But another part would easily be swooned if he told me he was fixing himself. Oh my God, that right there. Not now, right? It's been long enough that now that wouldn't work. But there was a period of time where if the ex would have called and said, hey, you know what? I just want to let you know, I've really done some soul searching and I realized I had some issues and I've been working on myself and I see that this and this are the problem. And, even if she had just said that and said nothing, just said, hey, some accountability, I would have started lowering my guard. And if she was really super vicious, she could have easily early on, probably within the first few years, sucked me back in. So unfortunately, the point I want to make on this, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. And for the most part, 99% of the time, no matter what happens, no matter what progress they've made, that default personality that's in them is what they're going to go back to. And what I mean by that, and what I'm saying by that, is more than likely, if they tell you that they're making progress, and you go back with them, it is going to completely devolve back to what it was before. The only caveat on that is if you can watch their actions and words and have some accountability to where if they start doing something, you could say, hey, you're falling back into that. You're doing what, we were talking about, or what your therapy, what you're working on. And if they like go, oh, okay. And they stop and they utilize whatever techniques that they've been taught, maybe cognitive behavior therapy or whatever, to help them get back on track. Okay. Maybe you have a chance, but it is a crapshoot to go back into that. Once somebody demonstrates who they are, believe them. You could have compassion for them, which even then, you got to be careful because sometimes that can lower your defenses enough to where you'd make mistakes. I personally wouldn't recommend it because I'm not saying not have, what I mean by that, I'm not saying, just have no compassion for anybody or have no compassion for your ex or whatever. What I mean is don't put yourself in a vulnerable situation. Don't actively go, I'm going to turn the shields off. Click. Boo. Everything shuts down and you're like, okay, I'm here. I can, you've been better. Let me just, here, let me just lay back and here are all the knives and daggers. I trust you now. Don't do that. Please, for the love of God, don't do that. All right. I got another caller, so I'm going to grab this one. Area code 484. Hello. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, Duane. Yep.
Hey, man. How's it going? So what's up?
Well, yeah, everybody I've talked to about what I called about yesterday, the malicious prosecution, it's telling me that there's literally nothing I can do about it. And yesterday I got my kids, and when I'm in my house, I'm so paranoid that I close all the curtains.
Yeah. But
I don't want kids to live like that. So when they get here, during the day I open them up, and an SUV pulled into my driveway, and immediately I thought, oh my God, like she's doing it again. Like this is going to be somebody serving me papers, or maybe they're coming to arrest me.
Yeah.
And it turns out it was a subcontractor for Amazon, but like the intense adrenaline rush, like, oh my God, is this going to happen in front of my kids? And I don't know. I think it's because court's coming up, and it seems historically everything that the one day to be ex always tries to push it back and then blames it on me.
Yeah, well, and you're dealing with a tremendous amount of PTSD. Everything that you've been through. Of course you're going to be paranoid and you're going to be worried about it, and some weird vehicle pulls up in your driveway is going to freak you out. And like you said, you're also getting ready to go back to court, so it's it's keeping all of your senses on hyper alert because you've been burned before. So you just got to be careful that you don't spiral yourself out of control as a result of that. And so I say that, and it's easier said than done, right? When I was active in my thing, I was completely freaked out. Going to the mailbox freaked me out because I kept getting, court documents or some other bomb in my mailbox, I literally was giving me anxiety to go to the mailbox. Actually, is another thing. I got to the point that I would get in my car in the garage, get in the car, start it up, then open it because I had this fear that somebody was going to be standing outside trying to serve me paperwork, and not that she ever did serve me like that, but it's just your brain starts going crazy. So I see that I think I heard, or what you initially said is you're increasing, taking tea? Is that what that was? You're doing things to help you with your anxiety?
Oh, no.
The
as far as to help me with my anxiety, I just do busy work around the house, and thank God I have a core of extremely supportive friends.
Awesome, man. That's key.
But I was talking to my best friend, and she said, you know what? The things that you're talking about are worrying me lately, because the things you're saying, it sounds kind of obsessive, but I understand why you're worrying about these things. But this is the way you were talking before each of the previous allegations. So that kind of made me hyper aware, like, oh, actually that makes sense, because that would just push court back further since we're going soon.
Right. Yeah, you got to, I mean, sometimes we're our own worst enemies, right? I mean, these people have a unique ability to push our buttons and hit our biggest fears, and it just sends us into overdrive. So I'm glad you have a friend who can in real time see you doing that and, you know, help you pause and say, oh, wow, okay. I mean, to be perfectly honest, and I know we haven't necessarily talked a lot about your story. Well, a little bit. I mean, we kind of into detail yesterday, but, you know, I mean, you're kind of at the stage now where if your ex tries anything extra, it's probably going to ultimately help you, because she's at the point now where she's destroying or has destroyed her credibility. And any more false allegations are just going to expose her. Not that it, you know, I mean, not that necessarily the court's going to immediately hold her to task, but every additional event that she does is going to push that closer and closer to happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It just starts to feel like I'm using my kids as bait for that.
Well, I mean, she's using your kids as bait
and I guess
as well against you, you know, I mean, so, I mean, here's the and I hear what you're saying on that. And I understand, right? I mean, cause nobody wants to do that to their kids, but the reality is it's not by your choice, right? I mean, I guess what I'm saying is it's more look at it like, okay, don't worry about it, or try not to worry about it, and just realize if she does anything, not that you're wanting it to happen, but it's just another really good data point to show what a problem she is. I mean, that is a huge example of the pattern behavior we often talk about on the show, of being able to say, look, this is the problem I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with an ex who cannot handle the fact that we're divorced, cannot handle the fact that I want to be a part and need to be a part of the kid's life, and is doing everything in her power to destroy that relationship to the extent that if she could get me jailed and just destroyed, that I would be out of the picture. I mean, you know, that's the reality of what you're dealing with. You're dealing with somebody who, even though I know, like we were talking about yesterday when I was talking to Alex, I mean, even though I know she's going to say the excuse will be, well, I was just worried, right? You know, this comment was made and I was just so worried and I didn't know. And you know, my ex is acting so differently and I'm so worried. And, you know, I mean, she'll try to spin it that there's a logical reason why she would say those things. The problem is getting to the point where, okay, the first time, okay, all right, you know what? You know, there's probably BS, but, you know, all right, you know, it's stressful times, you're kind of paranoid, you know, you take something out of context, it's been investigated, it's been thoroughly investigated, and everything's fine. And then her next course of action is to then find the next kid and say, oh, well, now, you know, now the younger kid made a comment that, you know, says that. I mean, it's like, seriously? I mean, the lady's destroying her own credibility. I mean, her next move to fall into cat on that would be to start diagnosing you in court with a medical condition on her own. You know, well, I've determined that that my ex is NPD. You know, it's like, I mean, it's like she's destroying her own credibility. Yeah. Anyways, my point is you're not using your kids as bait, dude. You're not. I mean, you don't want this to happen. I'm just saying that if she does, it's just, you know, you could potentially get to the point that you have full custody and she has reduced visitation because they can't trust her. So hang in there, man. You're doing everything right. So do you have your kids now? I mean, are you on your time or was this the last go around?
Yeah, they're at school right now.
Okay.
But yeah, I was troubled to hear out of my son's mouth yesterday. I've noticed a pattern with the things that they're saying.
Yeah.
That they normally would, that they have no reason to say is, I caught my 5-year-old son in a lie about hitting his sister because I saw it. And I said, no, you did hit your sister. And then he looked at me and said, you don't tell the truth about things. And he said that a few times. I'm like, well, yeah, you told me Mommy said that about me too. But you're also telling me that I'm mean.
Right.
Or in a moment of fun that, hey, Daddy, wow, you're not mean.
Right.
Like, yeah, I wouldn't wish this torture on anybody.
Well, and the reality is, dude, is that, what your ex has done is going to have an effect on your kids. We don't go through these experiences. Yours is pretty severe, right? Yours is probably one of the worst situations I've heard. And the reality is that your kids your kids are stuck in the middle. There is consequences to it. There's nothing we can really do about it. We can do long-term things to try to undo the damage, but our exes have created these scenarios that are absolutely going to affect the children. So, which means we have to even become better parents, understand child psychology even more so that we are in a better position to help our kids in real time. And ultimately, most of us are going to have our kids go through therapy to reconcile the mind. I was going to say some words that I was saying yesterday that got my video demonetized, but we're going to have to go through the process of deprogramming them, dealing with the brainwashing, having them to be able to reconcile what they experience, the fact that they had a parent lie to them and stuck in the middle. It sucks. The good part is
actually,
that
after I got.
Well, let me just finish this. I want to say the good part is your kids have some, have you in their lives who can be that stable rock for them and help them through that.
Yeah.
Anyways, I sorry to interrupt you. Say that again.
After hearing what Alex said about my situation, how you got to change the statutes. It really got my brain churning. Like, wow, I think I might call my state house representative and find out.
Yeah, you just have to be in a mode to where when you call, the reality is you have to make sure that you're rock solid so that you can call, and when you have that conversation, you can come across as credible and believable and not somebody who's just freaking out who, it is so easy for us to fall into the trap of being
win in court.
Yeah. But it's so easy to fall into the trap that people just assume we're the disheveled, disgruntled ex. It's like, oh, wow, this guy just can't get over it. And it's like, you need to be able to go in there and say calmly, hey, there needs to be change. This is the experience I had, dealt with a bunch of false allegations, there needs to be things to protect this because, obviously it's damaging to me, but it's also damaging to children have to go through this, and people are abusing the system, and there needs to be consequences. Part of the problem is a person can make these allegations and there's zero consequences. They just basically are typically just tap the person on the head and say, now, stop that. And there's no real consequences. So there's no real disincentive to not do it. To not make up false allegations, because it doesn't, if you're trying to win, destroying the other person to achieve your goal, okay, you got nothing to lose. You roll the dice. Okay, crap. Well, it was going to be 50-50 custody. I pressed the nuclear option or used the silver bullet. And if it works, great. Now I have full custody. I'm sole custodial parent, full custody, full legal rights, and not joint, and woohoo, you won. And if not, okay, well, it's what it was anyways. It's just, most people don't think another human would do that just for that. Nobody believes or wants to believe that a parent would do that to their child and do that well, that was weird, to their, to the ex to accomplish that. So anyways, yeah, I mean, but yeah, I think that's what we probably all need to get in the mode to where we are in a better position to organize on that. The problem is most of the time when people get to the point that they're out of it, they don't want to deal with it anymore. It's like, hey, I got my life back. That was a nightmarish part of it. I'm done. I don't want to deal with it anymore. I mean, shoot, that's like even me with this channel. I mean, I could have easily said, okay, you know what? I've gotten through the hard part. I can finish out the rest of it. I know what I need to do. And I could have just stayed away from anyone else who had this issue. And you know, I mean, but I decided to do this instead. So anyways, man, anything else you want to say before you go? All right.
Thank you for sticking with it.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. All right. Have a good rest of your day, and I'm sure we'll chat again. All right. Let me check to see what else is going on. Wow, we are down to 5 minutes. I think there's another caller, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to grab that. What I would see tomorrow. Oh, speaking of tomorrow, there's like a good on the schedule. Chris Godinez is supposed to be back. I made the mistake of not closing the loop with her on that, but I'm pretty sure she's going to be on. So I'll, if that's firmed up, I'll create the show and you guys will see that post a little bit later today. And, I don't know if we'll do calls on that. So anyways, just wanted to throw that out there. Let me look, I got a couple more minutes. Let me just see what's going on in the comments or what moderator Debbie has tracked. Let's see. Oh, I hate it when I'm trying to figure something out and I'm running out of time. Oh, it's frustrating. Let's see. I'm not fine. I'm sorry about this. I've completely screwed up my timing on this. I apologize. I see there's some people who were just saying thanks for what I do, which I appreciate you guys saying that. Sometimes I do think I've lost my mind doing this channel, but I think maybe I was the right person at the right time to pull this off. So let's see. Okay. Man, sorry about that. I completely screwed that up. So, iTumblr says, please do more Johnny Depp. On that, on Saturday at 8:30 a.m., I'm going to be on, Stevie Ray. I can't remember what the channel is, but I'm going to be on their channel. They're doing a marathon on Johnny Depp, and I'm going to have a 15-minute segment that I'm going to be on talking about the Johnny Depp story and how it affects our community and my thoughts on it. So definitely we'll be doing that. I might do another episode with Leslie going into more of a deep dive on it. I just haven't been able to schedule that up yet. So, but that's on the docket, I guess you could say. Anyways, so I'm just looking around just before we get down to the last minute, which is basically in 15 seconds. John had said to Shane, my kids would come into the visitation center and would complain about me rolling their eyes. I said, okay, fine. You have no dad, just like your mom had no dad. See you in 10 years. Yeah, it's a generational cycle. I did have a conversation yesterday with a person who's based, I think, in Germany, who I'm going to have on the show later this month, who specializes in coaching men to repair their relationships with their daughters. So she's one of those people who is a generational victim of that and has really worked hard to try to solve that. She was able to work through her own issues, realize the damage it had done to her, and I'm excited about that conversation. But on that, thank you guys for hanging out with me today. That hour kind of went by really fast. I do want to say thank you to all the channel members who helped make this happen. You guys keep the lights on, keep the phone lines open. I really appreciate all the support. So be kind to yourself, and we'll be back here tomorrow.